Welcome to the Legendary Lives channel, where epic tales of courage, conflict, and unity come to life. Hit that bold red subscribe button below, glowing with a white outline, and join our pride of storytellers. Dive into the saga of lions and humans, set against starry skies and ancient forests, as we unravel a legend that will roar through the ages. Don't miss a single moment. Subscribe now, and let's embark on this unforgettable journey together. Scarface, the mighty king of the Lion Kingdom, ruled with an iron paw. His scarred muzzle bore testament to battles won, each mark a badge of his unyielding strength. His thunderous roar summoned his pride-fierce lionesses with ember-like eyes and young males eager for glory. They patrolled their sacred territory with lethal grace, ensuring no intruder crossed their paths, their loyalty forged in relentless hunts and fierce defenses. Across the river, King Peter II governed the human kingdom with strategic wisdom. Clad in ornate golden armor etched with royal insignia, he oversaw expansions while upholding the delicate truce. His court buzzed with advisors and knights, but beneath the prosperity lay a deep bias. Lions were mere animals, threats to be contained. The kingdom flourished, yet the borders simmered with unspoken tension. Queen Andromeda, heavy with child, yearned for the flesh of a rare green deer, believed to ensure her unborn child's health. Her plea to King Peter was laced with love and desperation, her eyes imploring as she cradled her swollen belly. The king, devoted to her wishes, vowed to fulfill her request, unaware that this act would shatter the peace and ignite a war that would echo through the ages. Deep in the forest's heart, Scarface's pride spotted the elusive green deer grazing in a sunlit glade. Muscles tensed as they circled silently, preparing to strike. The deer's emerald hide shimmered, a vital prize for the pride's sustenance. The forest held its breath, the imminent hunt poised to unfold with primal precision. King Peter assembled his elite guards, warriors armed with bows, swords, spears, and silver armor. At dawn, they crossed the river into the Forbidden Forest, their steps hushed in air thick with pine and danger. Every rustle heightened their caution as they ventured deeper, their mission clear: secure the green deer without provoking the lions lurking in the shadows. Meanwhile, Scarface led his pride of 10,000 lions and lionesses on a routine patrol through the dense woods. Lionesses moved like phantoms, muscles rippling under golden fur as they scented the air for intruders. The forest was their sanctuary, defended with tooth and claw, Scarface's amber eyes piercing the underbrush, his presence a warning to any challenger. Fate intervened as King Peter's 10,000 knights lunged for the deer at the same moment Scarface's pride pounced. Arrows whistled, claws slashed, and chaos erupted. The forest floor churned with blood and fur as humans and lions clashed in a frenzied battle, roars mingling with shouts in a whirlwind of fur, metal, and fury under tangled branches. Scarface, fueled by primal rage, charged King Peter directly. His massive paws pinned the king to the ground, jaws clamping around the royal throat in a fatal grip. The king's crown tumbled into the dirt as his guards fought valiantly but were overwhelmed by the pride's coordinated attacks, their screams echoing through the trees. Only two human soldiers escaped the massacre, stumbling through the thicket, blooded and terrified in their silver armor. They glanced back at the shadowed pride vanishing into the woods, carrying the crushing weight of their king's death, the forest closing in as distant roars pursued. The survivors knelt before General Edward in a dimly lit throne room, their faces pale under flickering torchlight. Their trembling voices recounted the horror of the ambush, the roars, and King Peter's fall. Edward's stern expression hardened, knowing this tragedy would spark unending vengeance. General Edward led a daring party back into the perilous forest to retrieve King Peter's body. They navigated thorns and shadows, hearts pounding with grief and resolve. The air was heavy with decay, but their duty to honor their fallen leader drove them through the oppressive gloom. The kingdom mourned as King Peter's body was carried through cobblestone streets in a grand funeral procession. Young Prince Alden, clad in royal blue velvet, stood graveside, tears mixing with resolve as he silently vowed revenge. Queen Andromeda, in flowing black veils, watched, her grief turning to steely determination. A grand funeral procession wound through the kingdom's cobblestone streets lined with mourning villagers in medieval cloths, trumpets blaring solemnly from brass instruments, Queen Andromeda in flowing black veils leading the way. Young Prince Alden as a child with beautiful medieval cloth in royal blue velvet walking beside the coffin draped in gold-embroidered royal banners, crowds lining the path with bowed heads under overcast skies. At the graveside under a stormy sky, Prince Alden knelt on damp soil, his small hands clenched in vow. Tears streaked his innocent face as he swore to avenge his father, the weight of hatred becoming his inheritance despite his youth, lightning flashing in the distance. Queen Andromeda assumed control, ruling from an ornate throne carved with lion motifs. Her crown heavy with responsibility, she fortified borders and trained troops, her leadership a beacon in darkening times as advisors flanked her in a candlelit hall, maps of borders unrolled before them. Raids erupted along the river, human archers firing volleys into the forest in retaliation. Scarface's pride charged from the shadows, arrows piercing hides and claws rending flesh. The riverbank stained red under a setting sun, each clash deepening the divide between the realms. Scarface's pride grew warier, patrolling borders with heightened vigilance, ears twitching at every snap of twigs. Their manes bristled in the moonlight, forming a living wall of fur, distant human campfires flickering like threats on the horizon, stars twinkling above acacia silhouettes. Years of raids left villages in smoldering ruins, charred roofs, and collapsed walls. Wounded soldiers were carried on stretchers, lions with scarred flanks retreating into the grasses. Hatred etched every survivor's gaze under a blood moon, the cycle of violence seemingly unbreakable. Scarface, now old and weakened, succumbed to his wounds in a secluded den lined with dry grass. His pride of 10,000 mourned with low growls as his son Asher stood by, sorrowful but resolute. Moonlight spilled through the entrance, illuminating a new era dawning for the pride. Asher, majestic with a normal mane, assumed leadership, standing tall on a rocky outcrop. His roar rallied the pride of 10,000, lionesses and cubs gathering below in a sea of fur. The savannah stretched endlessly under a starlit sky, morning mists signaling a new chapter. Prince John, frail in silk-embroidered cloth, was born into the human kingdom, his weak cries filling the royal nursery. Queen Andromeda watched anxiously as healers hovered with herbs and potions, the shadow of the feud looming over the child's ornate cradle. Cublio whimpered in the pride's den, his tiny form shivering under soft fur. Asher paced protectively as elder lions consulted in hushed tones, fireflies dancing outside against a velvet night sky. Leo's birth brought hope, but the weight of destiny rested on his fragile frame. The lion sage, fur gray with age, stood before Asher in a moonlit clearing, revealing the prophecy of the fruit of Eternus. Ancient runes glowed on a stone tablet as the pride listened, the promise of a cure for their ailing cubs sparking resolve amidst whispering whines. King Alden, now grown and clad in golden armor, received the same vision in a grand library stacked with scrolls. His face illuminated with determination under flickering candlelight, knights awaiting his command as he resolved to seek the fruit of Eternus to save his brother. Prince John, King Alden rallied his 10,000 knights in the castle courtyard, their armor clanking as they mounted horses. Crimson and gold banners waved high as the gates opened to a dusty road, resolve shining in every eye under a bright sun, their quest for the fruit beginning. Asher gathered his pride of 10,000 at sunrise, lions roaring in unison as the savannah awakened with bird songs. Their journey began across golden plains toward jagged mountains, dew sparkling on grass blades, the pride's unity a testament to their shared purpose. Alden's knights marched through arid deserts, sand dunes shifting underfoot like waves. The sun blazed overhead, shields raised against the heat, mirages dancing on the horizon. Camels trailed with supplies, their determination unwavering despite the relentless conditions. Asha's pride traversed the same scorching sands, paws sinking into burning grains. Tongues lolled in thirst, but Asher led majestically, vultures circling above in a cloudless sky, cacti dotting the landscape as the lions pressed on with unyielding resolve. Raging rivers blocked the knight's path, waters churning over rocks. Alden's men constructed rafts from logs, rain lashing their faces as they crossed precariously, thunder rumbling in dark clouds, their unity tested by the turbulent currents. Asha's pride swam the same turbulent rivers, powerful strokes carrying them across swirling eddies. Cubs were held gently in jaws, Asher guiding the weakest with majestic roars, spray glistening on their fur under overcast skies, reeds lining the banks. Snowy mountains challenged Alden's knights, blizzards howling through passes. They climbed icy slopes, cloaks frozen stiff, fires sputtering in caves with icicles. Frost-bitten features bore their determination, the peaks capped in white as they pressed onward. The pride navigated frozen tundras, paws crunching through deep snow. Huddling for warmth in blustery wines, Asher scouted ahead, auroras painting the sky in ethereal greens and purples, stars piercing the cold as the lions endured. Dense jungles ensnared Alden's knights, vines tangling their paths. Exotic birds screeched overhead, knights hacking through foliage with machetes, sweat beating in humid air. Massive trees towered, testing their resolve as they forged deeper into the unknown. Asha's pride prowled through shadowy jungle undergrowth, leaping over roots and streams. Their eyes glowed in dim light filtered through the canopy, nocturnal creatures stirring as night fell with fireflies, vines draping like curtains around them. In a misted valley, Alden's 10,000 knights emerged from one side, armor muddied and weapons ready. Shapes loomed in the swirling fog, ancient ruins peeking through, as the humans prepared for what lay across the divide, their resolve unshaken. From the opposite ridge, Asha's pride of 10,000 appeared, manes fluffed in aggression, claws gleaming. Golden eyes narrowed at the human silhouettes, rocks tumbling down slopes as the lions formed a formidable line, ready for confrontation. Tensions peaked as Alden's knights drew swords, spears, and nocked arrows, Alden's stern gaze fixed under his crown. The valley echoed with clinking metal, wind whistling through grass, the air thick with the promise of violence between the two forces. Asha's pride roared in unison, forming a wall of fur on the left flank. Lionesses crouched low, muscles tensed, fangs bared in snarls, the ground trembling under their weight, dust rising as they prepared to pounce on their human foes. A wise witch materialized in a swirl of purple mist, her robes embroidered with stars. Her staff glowed with runes as she stood between the factions, her calm voice cutting through the tension, fireflies orbiting her as she urged peace to avert mutual destruction. She wove prophecies of doom without alliance, holographic visions flickering of air's fragile fates, her staff's pulse weaving light through the air, compelling both sides to halt and heed. As storm clouds massed overhead, Alden and Asher exchanged grave nods, extending hand and paw in symbolic truce, raindrops sealing the nascent bond as enemies became reluctant allies in the valley's embrace. Now forged as one, the coalition advanced over chasms on log bridges, lions and knights aiding each other with roars and shouts, banners and manes fluttering in harmony, their unity a radiant force against the trials ahead. Through turbulent rivers, knights crafted vine-bound rafts to ferry the pride, encouragement blending across species as sunlight danced on drenched fur and armor, conquering the flow together. In snowy defiles, lions pawed through drifts to blaze trails, knights hauling sleds in their wake, shared campfires crackling with stories that kindled fragile friendships under shooting stars. Deserts scorched their alliance further. Water passed paw to hand as Asher and Alden strode abreast, whispers of resilience rising from the sands toward distant oases that renewed their shared spirit. At the mountain's first rune-carved gate, a behemoth giant lumbered forth, its tree-like club shattering stone with each swing, its bellow drowning the coalition's war cries as the earth trembled beneath its stony rage. Undaunted, the pride swarmed its legs like a golden storm, claws gouging deep wounds that spilled blood in torrents, dodging earth-shaking blows with agile fury as fur and debris flew. The giant retaliated mercilessly, crushing lions and knights alike in devastating stomps, screams and roars piercing the chaos, blood soaking the pass amid splintered weapons, yet the losses only fueled their vengeful press. Knights unleashed spear barrages and arrow volleys, silver tips embedding in vulnerable spots, bows creaking under strain as they chipped away at the Colossus's might. Seizing the moment, Alden clambered a jagged slope, sword flashing as he vaulted onto the giant's back and drove the blade into its thundering heart, the beast crumpling in a seismic fall that parted the gate. The second gate disgorged a writhing sea monster, tentacles lashing like vengeful serpents from frothing depths, jaws snapping rows of death as scales gleamed through fog, drawing the coalition into watery peril. The pride plunged in, teeth sinking into slimy flesh and ripping free in crimson sprays, ink clouds swirling as waves crashed and their unbridled savagery turned the shallows to battlegrounds. Knights waded forth with slashing blades, severing limbs in gouts of foul ichor, the monsters gurgled shrieks echoing off rocky shores draped in seaweed as they carved through the nightmare. In perfect synergy, Alden and Asher dove amid the fray, the king targeting vital seams with his sword, while lions diverted with thunderous roars until the beasts sank into oblivion, bubbles marking their triumph. From the third gate charged a massive centaur, hooves pounding volcanic earth as its bow hurled colossal arrows, lava glowing and ash drifting like doom while the coalition scattered across the fiery expanse. Stealthily, the pride encircled it, claws raking flanks amid steaming vents, leaping clear of furious stamps as their coordinated strikes drew molten blood. Knights raised embossed shields to deflect the barrage, lances thrusting in counteroffensives as the centaur reared in rage, mane whipping through the heat, their advance unyielding. Asher leapt onto its back, fangs burying into the neck with savage force, while Alden surged forward to impale its core, the hybrid collapsing amid hissing rocks to yield the passage. The fourth gate unleashed a Pegasus, wings whipping gales that tore through clouds, diving with lethal grace as avian flocks fled, turning the skies into a whirlwind arena for the coalition's defiance. Scaling cliffs, the pride launched aerial ambushes, claws snagging feathers amid howling canyons, their tenacity aiming to drag the foe earthward. Knights' arrows arced heavenward, piercing wings with deadly accuracy until the Pegasus plummeted in a dust-choked crash, the alliance swarming to deliver united blows that scattered feathers like fallen snow, opening the way. In cavernous gloom, the fifth gate birthed Medusa, her serpentine hair hissing venom as her gaze petrified the unwary. But the coalition pressed on with mirrored shields, lions navigating by scent to launch blind strikes. Though she turned several to eternal stone in the initial horror, adaptations turned the Tide Knight's guiding slashes via reflections, pride diverting with echoing roars off dripping walls. Exploiting openings, Alden swung true to sever her head, her form crumbling to dust as the gate yielded, the air settling with the weight of their hard-won advance. A dragon erupted from the sixth, flames scorching the land as metallic scales flashed, its tail cratering earth in smoky fury, challenging the coalition's courage with infernal might. Nimble as shadows, the pride evaded firestorms to assail the underbelly, embers igniting fur, yet their roars defiant, agility their shield in the blaze. Knights hurled enchanted spears into armored chinks, many falling to incinerating blasts amid mingled cries, but their barrage eroded the beast's invincibility. In a climactic union, Asha's claws and Alden's sword pierced the dragon's heart as one, the worm crumbling in dying embers to part the final barrier, the coalition honoring the fallen before pressing on. With the dragon slain, Asher reared triumphantly atop its smoldering husk, his roar a beacon of victory that rallied the weary alliance onward. At the summit loomed the ultimate Sentinel Godzilla, its spiked silhouette quaking the peak with deafening bellows and ground-shattering steps, the Coalition's greatest trial unfolding in the thin air. The Pride assaulted its legs like relentless waves, tearing at impenetrable hide with unified roars that mocked the Titan's scale. Knights catapulted boulders and loosed arrows in ceaseless volleys, projectiles whistling through the chaos to wear down its defenses inch by inch. In a breathtaking finale, King Alden vaulted to strike the hard as Asher clamped jaws on the Godzilla's throat in a fatal vice, the Colossus teetering and plunging into the abyss, the last gate swinging wide in their wake. Atop the peak, the tree of Eternus gleamed with ethereal promise, its single radiant fruit igniting a spark of contention as Alden and Asher both laid claim, winds howling the agony of choice for their ailing heirs. In a shimmering vision, Leo extended a paw in plea, his earnest gaze urging compassion to transcend old hatreds, the fruit's glow pulsing like destiny's heartbeat. Atop the snow-capped summit of the mystical mountain, victorious but drained, the coalition gathered around the tree's solitary gift. Smoke curling from distant wounds as Alden in his golden armor and Asher on steadfast paws gazed upon its branches, valleys sprawling below under a fiery sunset, the crisp gales carrying whispers of fate. Alden collapsed to his knees in raw anguish, fists pounding the frozen soil, his knights arrayed in solemn silver behind him as the fruit dangled like a cruel jest, mournful whines keening through the heights. The leader's eyes met across the divide, an invisible tempest of sorrow raging as the fruit's power undividable without ruin forced an impossible decree, murmurs rippling through lions and knights under twilight's somber veil. Despair cloaked them all, the grim truth sinking in. One heir, either Prince John in his silken garb or tender cub Leo, must fade, the tree's rune-etched bark indifferent to their bitter victory. Asher rose with fire in his gaze, muscles coiling as claws extended, his pride encircling in a roaring shield, the dimming light casting long shadows of impending war. Alden stood firm, hand gripping his sword as his knights hoisted weapons in a clanking wave, the summit shuddering with the clash's approach, tree sparks flickering like omens. Yet in misty apparition, weakened Leo beseeched Asher to yield the fruit, his paw raised in a call for mercy that could shatter the cycle of blood. With faltering breaths, Leo implored his father to save the human prince instead, his small form bathed in the glow, echoes of their journey's trials fading into hushed reverence. "Do you grasp your words?" Asher rumbled, voice fracturing with paternal torment, his paw tenderly brushing Leo's side as the tree swayed in silent empathy, all holding breath in the electric air. But cub Leo, sitting up weakly with a faint smile on his muzzle, spoke of the endless fights between humans and lions. How many had passed from both sides until now, his words wise beyond his years, the summit illuminated by the fruit's light casting ethereal halos around the group. Cub Leo pressed on, evoking their shared struggles and forged love, begging sacrifice for his soul's peace to let Prince John thrive and banish war forever, tears welling in eyes that moved the coalition to quiet sobs. Torn asunder, Asher nodded in anguished surrender, his roar heavy with grief as he withdrew, his pride murmuring laments while night encroached. With sorrow etching his features, Alden plucked the fruit, its pulse warm in his palm, nights vigilant as he faced the path of reluctant salvation. He offered it to Prince John, who consumed it slowly, his fragile frame igniting with vitality, strength surging as the alliance watched entangled emotions, the tree dimming to bare branches. Leo slumped lifeless to the ground, eyes fluttering shut in what seemed eternal rest, the group paralyzed in collective heartbreak, whines ruffling his fur like a final caress. Asher and his thousands pride unleashed a symphony of morning roars, tears tracing furry paths as the mountain amplified their woe, stars gazing down impassively. Holding the revived prince, Alden and his knights knelt in reverence for Leo's spirit, torches guttering in the vigil's solemn hush. Suddenly, heavens thundered with a divine proclamation, lauding Leo's selfless heart in golden beams that bathed the tree, commanding it to fruit eternally, though only once per millennium the skies parting in radiant miracle. Joy mingling with tears, Asher slashed free a fresh orb with his claw, his pride's roars shifting to elation as magic shimmered through the air. Tenderly, the healed Prince John placed it in Leo's mouth, his childlike hand steady as the cub stirred, anticipation encircling them like a warm embrace. Leo awoke vibrant and whole, yawning and stretching with renewed spark, unleashing a cascade of cheers and triumphant roars, the tree's glow eternal emblem of harmony. Ecstasy swept the summit as embraces crossed species lions, nuzzling armored shoulders, humans ruffling cubs further past horrors eclipsed by joy under meteor-streaked skies. Descending as kin, laughter bounced through passes, unbreakable bonds woven in every step, moonlit valleys beckoning their heroic return. Rejoicing erupted in both kingdoms with feasts that blurred borders, humans and lions mingling in bonfire-lit revelry, forging a tapestry of shared futures. In blooming meadows, Prince John and Cub Leo chased one another in playful glee, their friendship the living seal of peace, watched by smiling Lion Asher amid vibrant wildflowers. From that day, humans and lions dwelled in unbroken accord, territories flourishing without hunt or harm, each sunrise a vow of renewed unity across the realms. And so the legend wove through generations, whispered around crackling campfires, the mystical mountain eternal guardian of sacrifice and compassion's enduring light. Did this epic of bravery, sacrifice, and eternal peace stir your soul? Share your thoughts below. If it inspired you, give it a like, hit subscribe for more legendary quests, and pass it on to fellow tale lovers. Let's keep the adventure alive.